we live in a world where we're always connected, right? Always. And so when you text someone, for example, you expect to text back within minutes. Am I right? That's kind of how we put ourselves out there. And when your client emails you, it's like you feel it's necessary to respond, or you might lose the client, right? Or for another example, you might not power down your phone at night because an emergency might happen in the middle of the night. I know some people use their phone for an alarm. That's a little different, but so now we've created a cycle of expecting and then giving expectancy. And we've talked a little bit about this. Your brain is built to help you survive. So to do so, it has to find ways to reduce uncertainty. Uncertainty carries the risk of danger, sending your body into the fight or flight mode at the first sign of threat. So because of this, your brain finds comfort in consistency, which by uncertainty makes things predictable. So for example, just how much your brain loves predictability. One study found that students were less stressed and more satisfied when their teacher was consistently a jerk than when their teacher was sometimes fair and sometimes unfair. And people value consistency and predictability, and at least as much as they value fair treatment. So that makes sense when given our brains are developed to identify and predict threats, right? So with someone who is consistently bad, you always know what to expect. But when someone is erratic, who's like hot and cold, the brain has to constantly guess and be on guard. So your brain loves it when things are regular and predictable. So that's so why is it so hard to stick to a schedule, like going for a run every morning or showing up at the same job every day? Well, it's because in this strange twist of neurological wiring, your brain also loves things that are new and easy. So your brain actually loves rewards, and it associates novelty with rewards. And when something unexpected happened that isn't negative, then your brain is flooded with the dopamine, which is that feel-good neurotransmitter we've talked about. So that encourages you ways to explore this new environment in search of rewards. And the anticipation of reward is often what drives our decisions when we first set a goal. So when you pursue an objective, you're more focused on the enticing reward attached to it and not the effort that's required. So if you set a goal, I'm going to wake up every morning at 5 so I can work on my book, or just use a book, for example, before the kids wake up. And once you start carrying out the behaviors that are needed to achieve the goal, you start to focus more on the effort and you lose sight of the reward, because a book doesn't happen overnight. It kind of happens over time. It's almost the same thing as like, when you go get up at 5 a.m. to work out. So once you start carrying on those behaviors, you need to start to achieve the goal. You start focusing more on the effort, lose sight of the reward, and it's 5 a.m. and you're under the covers and you're like, oh, it's all nice and warm in here. If I get up, it'll be cold and I will also be tired. Another example is like when we set our New Year's resolution, which the common one is a perfect example of working out to lose weight. Now, it sounds great when you set the goal. The reward is still there, but you can't see that reward for months down the line. But it also takes a lot of effort to get to it. Again, it's not easy. And because your brain wants to help you survive, it looks for ways to save energy in any place that it can. So if we're presented with the opportunity to sleep in versus to get up and work out, which one does your brain naturally want to do? Naturally, it wants to stay in bed in the warm covers. It's just natural. So to summarize it, when your brain finds comfort in predictability, it also gets a kick out of things that are new, rewarding, and easy. And often those last three traits, new, rewarding, and easy, are at the odds when the behavior is required to be productive. So when it comes to finding those right balances, staying disciplined with time, and finding a work-life, that's a lot of things in life, balance, because work is most of our life. Now that struggle is real, right? So you may have heard this saying like, time is the enemy, to win you must conquer it. In a typical like 14-hour day, the 14-hour days aren't just necessarily to get in a good day's work. They're actually a badge of honor, which is the proof that you deserve any future success that might arrive. So each day you go through like you're losing battle after battle because there's too few hours to get the work done. Let me explain this whole entire process through for you. So like, for example, I know the feelings well, because since I've started like my entrepreneurship, starting with the health coaching business, I know that the time supply is like, time is short basically. And when you're working around the clock to bring like visions into reality, I also struggle when it comes time to my business, my kids, as a wife, a friend, a sister, a granddaughter, and all those other loved ones in between that want to communicate with me in between business, also in between laundry, meals, and etc., and also my personal time. So it's perceived that time is a function and a high level of neurological trickery. And our feelings of being overwhelmed, technically, the speed of life has fast forwarded. I know we've all thought it, we've all said it, we've all talked about it. But the reality is actually that our to-do list has gotten longer. So how do we fix it? Which is your balance. That's your work, life, sleep, and relationships. Okay, we're gonna go through why this time, life, balance, brain predictability, it all will make sense in a minute. Work, inbox. Try to get every day is getting your inbox to 0. So trust me when I tell you, I am absolutely horrible at it. I have a personal inbox, a work inbox, and then a leave me inbox. And I have a few different inboxes. And so I've started working on this every day because I've got to make that work balance. Personal and work combined together is having a complete calendar. The calendar is literally everything that you need to do should go in a calendar. That's work, personal, kids schedules, literally everything. Next is making a list of ideas. This is your future kind of balance. And it could be any single kind of idea, from good to kind of good to crappy. Whatever it is, put your ideas on a list, because some of them will work, some will work now, some of them will work in the future. But basically, it's a potential for inspiration to a future, which is also tapping into your creativity. Next is this one, I feel is extremely important. Taking time out to be present without technology, because this gives your working brain a break, and it gives you time for your thinking brain and your acting brain. So if you leave your phone in another room for 20 or 30 minutes and just be present with your person or your kids or your pet or nature, whatever it is, just be present without technology. Now, of course, I talk about this. I find this is so helpful all the time, is finding joy, finding gratitude in your job, in your life, in your family. And when you start practicing gratitude, you actually find that you have a lot more than you think that you have. To sum it all up, time plus consistency equals predictability, which equals balance. So when things are lined up and you make a plan and you stick to the plan, time frees up and now you're in balance, because health is balance. There's a lot more than, work and life. You got social life and all of that comes into play. That's all balance. We can always go back and revisit that, the circle of life balance tool that I sent you guys a long time ago. It's actually good to revisit that every once in a while anyways, just to kind of see where you struggle, like every month, you know what I mean? Like it's always going to be fluctuating. It's always going to be changing. Things happen all the time that put you into maybe a little bit of an unbalanced circle, but it's a really cool tool. So that is just kind of what I wanted to talk about. Work-life balance. We all need it. We're all in it. We all do it. We all need to practice it, because in the end, like I said, health is balance first and foremost.